Apologies for absence.
We have apologies from Councillor Irvine, Ewings and Venning.
And the Town Clerk, of course, apologises. He's missing a council meeting, which obviously greatly upsets him. But he has undealt business, isn't he?
Councillor Squire might issue for...
Oh yeah, he told us, yeah.
It's his birthday today. He's got other things to do.
And Councillor Squires.
Okay, thank you. Declarations of interest, you all know this by now. If there's anything that you feel that's coming up that you need to tell everybody about because you've got an interest, then please tell us now. And if you don't tell us now, but it becomes apparent during the meeting, then please tell us straight away at the first opportunity. Have we any declarations of interest at this time? Okay, thank you. Minutes of the council meeting. Confirm the minutes of the last meeting, which was the 7th of November. Has everybody, I hope, has had a look through? Yes, Councillor Mann.
Thank you, Mayor. I have had a look through, and I'd like to just raise a question about the, it's a part 2 minute that I'm raising a question about. Is that all right to raise here?
Or to go to part 2.
We resolved that we would delegate authority to yourself, the Town Clerk and the Deputy Mayor in Part 2 to initiate and conduct such actions or proceedings as appropriate to promote an appropriate approach from Devon County Council to the evidence, methods and procedures and related matters for the proposed introduction of on-street parking in the town. And to engage with other affected communities to identify if collective action was considered an option, and when scheme proposals were published, to convene a meeting for the public to which the county councillor and the county highways officers be invited to attend to explain its proposals. And I guess you're bringing updates tonight to this council meeting, because it did say that updates would be brought to future council meetings unless it became necessary to convene a special meeting beforehand. And what I would like to raise is that I think that, in my opinion, we received a communication from Jan, the Assistant Town Clerk, which had been sent to West Devon Borough Council, not to Devon County Council, which was a Freedom of Information request from the Town Council. And we didn't receive that as Town Councillors, we received that in our role as West Devon Councillors. And I hadn't had any conversation with anyone or any notice that this was going to happen or the decision was going to be taken to ask West Devon Borough Council to consider a Freedom of Information Act. In the meantime, we'd already had some communication about West Devon's position, which had been being taken forward by some councillors within this group. And it was unfortunate that that decision was taken without any input, considering that we could have given you some information that might have been helpful. And I remember a time when I spoke at a meeting, I believe it was Graham Parker, Councillor Graham Parker, who was wanting exactly that type of action, freedom of information to West Devon to get them to do something. And I remember speaking very strongly against that type of action, because I felt that that type of action really places the council on the back foot when it comes to inter-council relations. And I still maintain that position. So I emailed you on Sunday, I believe, Mr. Mayor, to say, I'm really surprised and saddened that you took this delegated authority, which to me doesn't say that we gave you authority to take action to do freedom of information requests to district councils, and you used it to do something which 5 members of this council sit on that council that you could have done informally. Could have been a phone call potentially to West Devon Borough Council to find out what their official position was, because I know you've had that back and it's actually been stated that there was no official position. So I just am concerned on this minute whether you can explain to me under this resolved minute what it was that gave you the authority to send that freedom of information request to the district council without coming back to this council to give us any update. We could have had a special meeting if you needed to do something of that nature, you felt you weren't getting a response. I wasn't aware of any previous correspondence to West Devon on behalf of the town council, so I was really shocked And I'm also shocked that not only have you not done that, but you didn't respond to my email asking me about it. I have no response to that either. So I just would like an explanation as to what this minute means, because to me, it doesn't mean what it says on its face.
Have we actually asked this for more information? We didn't, did we? You went on to say, yeah.
I think we'll pick this matter up in part 2 and discuss it. What I would say is the letter that was written to West Devon Borough Council wasn't an actual freedom of information request explicitly. It could be interpreted as that, but it wasn't written in that format. But I'm more than happy to discuss that in part 2. As far as I can go, considering the action was taken by the town clerk, who's not absent, who's obviously absent.
Councillor Hitching.
I understand that this matter has been a matter of debate at Kilworthy Park today. I don't know whether you can confirm that, but I wonder if we are going to discuss this in part 2, perhaps we can have some sort of an indication of what was decided, or I don't know whether that's appropriate. But it would be useful to know what West Devon Borough Council's current attitude is.
We'll pick that up on agenda item 7, hopefully.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's in the public domain.
Yeah.
Yes, it's just that it's very, very recent.
Yes.
It doesn't actually impact that bit, doesn't it? No, but if we're going to, whatever,
Do
it
you-
would just be useful.
It would be very useful to know, because I've not been told.
Piece of logistics puzzle.
No, I've not been told. Okay, so we'll take that in part 2. Anything else on the minutes? Okay, are they... Somebody going to propose we agree to them?
Move the minutes.
Yes? Proposer?
Actually, I would like to object to that until we've resolved my question about what that minute means. I would like to ask the minutes are not approved until we've ascertained what that minute means.
Okay. Right, let's move on to the next thing then. Master Rising, we're going to cover that later. Public representations and questions, at this stage I haven't had any. Items requiring a decision, general finance, schedule of payments, to consider and endorse the monthly accounts. Oh, you've all had time to look at them. Any big questions? I understand the clerk hasn't told me he's got anything that matters. Are you happy with those? Okay, I'll endorse those. And then budget monitoring, what do you say about?
Mr Mayor, I would like to say on the previous matter, if the minutes are a true representation of that meeting, then they should be approved. If there are any queries in relation to the accuracy of those minutes, then they shouldn't be approved.
My question is, the minute doesn't say what has been happening, and therefore it can't be an accurate representation.
The minutes of the meeting were an accurate representation of what was discussed and agreed at that meeting, and therefore those minutes should be approved as an accurate representation, irrespective of the actions that may have happened after that meeting.
That's right. Does anybody disagree with that? In which case we can take, do we have the approval of the minutes that that was an accurate reflection of the meeting? Do we have a proposer? Deputy Mayor, do we have a seconder? Councillor Johnson. All in favour, please. Okay, so that's okay. Right, budget monitoring report. One thing we're going to endorse, and the one thing I'm just going to mention is that DELC subscriptions are going up, and we just want you to be aware of that. DELC subscriptions this year are £13.86 a year, and next year they propose to be £1,721. So they have gone up more than inflation, but DELC undoubtedly, because of things like the parking meters and all the other things that are going on at present, are doing a lot more work on behalf of all the councils, and obviously because of that they need more resources. So that's really just so you're aware of that. Is that okay? And in principle, are you all happy that we agree to paying the new subscriptions for DELC? Councillor Mann, please.
I just would just like to share that as the representatives of that for the council, they have been absolutely fantastic on the parking issue. So I would really say that they are a really good voice, and especially as we're going into devolution, I think they're going to be the only voice for
Yes,
our
I've got
councils.
that down. I'll
That's
mention
really
that
important.
next. Okay, thank you. The other thing that you just need to be aware of is that we haven't got the council tax base figures yet. So basically we can't work out the budget yet. Can't work out the budget for next year because we were originally we were hoping this meeting would be discussing the budget, but we're not going to discuss the budget. So the budget will now be on the next council meeting on the 6th of Feb. So just again, so you're all aware of that. All right. So are we happy to endorse the budget monitoring report? Okay.
Can I confirm that the meeting will be changed to the 6th of February from the 30th of January to put that in your calendars?
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we're happy to endorse that. So Development Management Licensing Committee, meeting of the 28th of November, please. Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I rise to present the DMNL minutes from the 28th of November. On there, 242, apologies for absence. 243, confirmation of minutes. 244, declarations of interest. 245, Dartmoor National Park Authority. 246, neighbourhood development planning. And 247, general correspondence. 248, town planning issues. And it's recommended under the town planning issues.
1 second, can we just tell that?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to pick on 248B, Public Bus Service Petition. Although this was considered by Council at our last meeting, it wasn't an agendaed item, therefore we weren't in a position to make any decisions about it. It was therefore referred to DMNL for discussion with a recommendation to come back to full Council. And also it gives us another opportunity if members wish to say a few words about it. I feel pretty strongly about this. It seems to me there are several dimensions to the bus issue. The first one is that, to the best of my knowledge, there was no public consultation before the changes were introduced. They came out of the blue. The second is that there has been a reduction in service to part of the town. Going down towards Whitchurch now has a hole in the timetable of 3 hours duration in the afternoon. The third dimension is the funding. My understanding is probably shaky, and there are those who will help me, no doubt, but I understand that the 89 service is now being funded by Section 106 monies, whereas the 86 is being funded directly by Devon County Council, therefore making the 86, the Whitchurch Loop, vulnerable to future funding changes, shall we say. It is already having an impact. I was looking at the bus survey undertaken by Transition Tavistock, and the numbers weren't great, and there were only a few people who made any comments about the 86. But the comment that was made was telling, in that the person who responded indicated that the gap in the afternoon service now meant that this particular parishioner was making a significant number of additional car journeys into the town each day. So the bus service being degraded will have an effect. It is having an effect already, and it's an effect in the wrong direction. It's taking people out of the town centre, people who might otherwise come and have lunch, for example, and then go back on the bus after lunch, or they might come in to do a bit of shopping. And now they're having to think about, well, can I get back on the bus? If I can't, am I going to go at all? Or am I going to go by car, or whatever? So I don't feel we should just let this go by without Council making some sort of comment or action in support of our parishioners who are unhappy about this.
Thank you.
As the Deputy Mayor has said, there's a considerable amount of feeling about this, and the gap down on the Church Road around that side. I think it finishes at 5.
Can you use your microphone, Barry?
Yes, sir.
Because we are screening. And
Hello, everybody. Fine? Good. The bus does stop at, I think it's 5 to 2 and doesn't come back on till 5 to 5. It's on there. And the recommendation that we have here, that having regard to the unsuitability of current arrangements, Tavistock Town Council will write to West Devon Borough Council as the relevant authority requesting to undertake an urgent review of the application of 106 monies for bus services in the town, with a particular focus on ensuring cost-effective and coordinated public transport service provisions. As you will have heard before, there's been freedom of information requests for where the money is going, how much has been spent, and also it does appear that there is no link up between the two routes. They've taken one and it's now serving the Butcher Park Hill estate quite heavily, and from what I understand, people are on there saying that the bus that is on, which is a smaller bus now, appears to be full up on a regular basis, which is wonderful for travel and the use of that item, but the other side is lacking considerably, and the view of the DML was that we take this forward in an extremely strong manner and express our dislike's not the right word. It's not a good situation for the people in Whitchurch, especially as a lot of them are of an older age.
okay. I think Councillor Munro would like to say something.
Councillor Monroe, yes.
Can I just check the wordings? I think we said Devon
Can you
County.
put your microphone on, please?
Can I just check the wordings? I think we said Devon County, not West Devon Borough.
Absolutely.
106, the 106.
No, we are writing to
Okay, that's
West
fine.
Arran Borough Council
That's fine.
because they are the authority
Yes,
that
sorry.
runs that operation, and we feel that their position would have a much greater effect and an ability to influence and obtain some form of response out of Devon County Council. We here, the Town Council, we don't have any monies that go into it, and we don't plan anything, but it does appear that the bus companies involved have taken this commercial view of where it doesn't go. The bus disappears in the afternoon off to Lancing.
I believe so.
Yeah, it does a school run, which is wonderful for the school children, but not for our parishioners.
Councillor Moody, then Councillor Mann, please.
Just to add to that, also it was raised today at full council at West Devon when Graham Parker presented the petition to the mayor. That one of the issues is that he raised was that no funding by Devon County Council officers was required for the funding of the buses for the Baker Estate development.
Yes.
And that was another issue that was raised. There was suggested there were plenty of funds, or there was no need for funds, and now we find ourselves in a position where there aren't any funds, and a service is being cut.
Yes.
Councillor Mann.
Sorry, that was all.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Smith, please.
That is the recommendation which we need.
Okay. So that's the recommendation to council. Do we have a proposer? Do we have a seconder? Councillor Hipsey, all in favour, please? Anybody against? No, carried. Thank you. Okay.
Right, Mr. Mayor, I shall carry on. 249, general correspondence. 250, urgent business brought forward, of which there was none. Planning decisions and applications. Little a is planning decisions. Little b, new planning applications. We recommend that the views of the Town Council as listed in Appendix B be passed to the local planning authority for consideration.
Okay, thank you. Just Councillor Johnson first, please, before I take the recommendation.
My apologies, Mr Mayor, I hoped to catch you around before we got on to 251B. My son and his partner have a planning application to 33394, so it was declared an interest.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So the recommendation from Councillor Smith. We have a proposer? Do we have a seconder, please? Right, Councillor Munro. Thank you. All in favour? Thank you. Anybody against? No, carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The last one, 252, is the next meeting, which is on 20th of December, which is tomorrow, which is now cancelled due to lack of actual business to carry.
Thank you very much. Right, on-street parking charges. I'm very conscious about that we need in part 2 to talk about what Councillor Mann has brought up on delegated authority and what people should have been doing or shouldn't have been doing. But if we could just have a general update of where the council is at present. Basically, if we go through the different things that we've been doing, we've heard from our MP today, who was, sorry, Councillor Hepsey.
Please carry on.
Right. We've heard from the MP today, who has written to Devon County Council, basically asking them what have they been doing as regards the way they've administered this. So that's useful. You've all seen the letter that the council wrote to our solicitors wrote on our behalf to Devon County Council, again basically asking them.
No, we haven't.
Did that not come out to everybody yesterday?
No.
That was meant to have gone out yesterday, didn't it, to everybody?
The solicitors have sent a letter to Devon County Council, first class, close of play Monday night. That letter will be circulated.
Basically, this is a letter along more the administrative things, again, the way this has all been arrived at, how their consultation has happened or not happened, how they've made the decisions, and this is something that we've done with the solicitors' advice. I ought to tell you that a lot of the other towns in Devon, Dartmouth, Honiton, Oakhampton, Creighton, are all doing similar sort of things, being very, very active, asking Devon County Council, where's all this going, and where's your authority come from, what's happening. So we're not alone with this. We also, of course, have got the thing from West Devon. Now, we will talk about the West Devon, and I'd like to have an update. But what I think what the town has got to realise is that West Devon seem to be sitting on the fence. They told us that they've...
Not now.
No, I'm going to ask for an update, but this is...
I actually object to that because we never actually had an official answer from West Devon as to where they sat. And no official answer was ever requested until the Freedom of Information letter was sent to West Devon. So the description that you are describing, that they had a position or that they were sitting on the fence, only came out after your Freedom of Information request, although it was presented to us at council as if that had been an official position, which was not made clear to us where that came from or where that information came from. So that's another communication issue to be discussed.
So you're saying when in the last council meeting we all were under the impression that they were taking no position, that's what we'd been told, that was factually incorrect? Because we asked Councillor Ewing at the meeting. I asked her as the mayor.
The fact is that the West Devon have not changed their position, and this is what we will discuss with the letter that was sent to West Devon, and not to us as town councillors, where it was suggested that West Devon had changed its position, which is totally incorrect.
So what is West Devon's position as of now? Or the position?
Was presented today because it was brought forward as an urgent item by the mayor, and it was considered that West Devon will actually object to and the councillor Bridgewater is going to be responding for West Devon to the actual consultation, and that West Devon is going to be objecting to it on the basis that they haven't considered the evidence that they need to, in the same way that West Devon did, which when West Devon considered its short-term parking within the towns that they had control over, they looked at and considered the business evidence and the effect that it might have on the towns, and decided not to increase their short-term parking charges. So on that basis, they're doing that, and they are also writing a letter. The lead business member, Neil Jory, added an amendment that we would write a letter to seek a meeting with Devon County Council on the basis that we would like to have them explain the business case for what they're putting forward. And that was unanimously voted by West Devon councillors.
And if I could just add to that, the basis of it was that the basis of the objection and the reason for writing a letter to Devon County Council, it was because of the lack, the same as Devon as Town Council, the lack of any credible information backing the decision or the proposal. And I guess West Devon has taken it one step further and demanding a meeting to discuss it. And there is a unanimous objection at West Devon to the proposal. So, you know, and I think that the suggestion that there was a change of direction at West Devon is incorrect. There may have been a non-committed position initially, but it wasn't that, you know, that it was against the that it was for the proposal or against the proposal. It took a medium line until information became available, and now that information has become available and a special motion was presented to the council have now voted on it. And that's in the public domain. I forgot to bring a copy of, because it's not, oh, you've got a copy of it there, right, okay. Thanks, Lynn. Sorry.
I have a clean copy I can leave with Jim.
I'm sure the town would be delighted West Devon have now done this, but I'm quite concerned because basically for several weeks we have all been under the impression that West Devon is, as said, they are sitting on the fence. And indeed, at the last council meeting, I asked Councillor Ewing, who's not here obviously today because she's poorly, why are you sitting on the fence? And she said, oh, well, there's reasons that we can't go into. And that's why I sent the email I did to West Devon councillors saying, why is West Devon? Because nobody seems to know what the position, why they're sitting on the fence. And indeed, at a meeting last week, I was speaking to the mayor of West Devon and said, why is West Devon taking this position of sitting on the fence? And she'd said, I honestly don't know, Andy. I'm going to make some inquiries. So, what we've got today is good, but there's something gone horribly wrong here. Hasn't and I'd love to know why. Because
Could I just respond? I think what's gone wrong is that the Twin Hatters in this room weren't notified of the letter to West Devon. And this is our major problem, is that, and it was also sent by the assistant to the town clerk to our West Devon addresses, a letter from Tavistock Town Council. I would have thought that it would be more appropriate that we have a discussion before that letter goes off, and we could have responded to it. But and also because it came through that mechanism. When I read the email, I thought, oh, hello, it's just a confirmation that we're putting our case. Okay. But then when I read the letter in finer detail, whilst Wayne suggested it wasn't an FOI, it is asking for all the evidence as if it were an FOI.
It's been interpreted as an FOI, but we said we would cover this off in part two.
We'll go back
this specific matter.
I think it's getting a bit deeper again, isn't it?
Well, what I would just like to say on your point is why did this all go wrong? I think it's about communication. So I would like for us to have a discussion about the way in which we're communicating as a council internally as well as externally, because it's not just about West Devon's communication.
Right, okay. Well, we moved on to part two. Sorry, Councillor Johnson.
Just like to add from this afternoon, I think all members of the Borough Council have signed a letter which is going to the Tavistock and Okehampton Times to ask residents to take part in the consultation about the parking meters. So we are trying to push it. Good. And I'm certainly trying to push it with all the groups that I'm involved with. Everywhere I go, we are telling people about it and ask them to please consult.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Hipsey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to just give a bit of perspective, if I may, and I'd rather not do this in part two because I think it's important for the general public to understand what BID's doing to help in this matter. You will have noticed that the Devon County Council plan has now been published, which I think might feed into the discussions about their position. One of the things that I'm concerned about, and it has been raised a bit, is there was some talk about Market Road, which is obviously Town Council property, Town Council issue, and that Devon County Council were offering, if you like, that they would administer parking charges in Market Road. And I just wanted to make sure that we have roundly rejected that and stated basically that we are not going to charge for parking on Market Road. Can I assume that that's
So to the General Manager.
the case?
It's not identified on the plans anyhow on the application, but either way, that would be a policy decision by the council in the future.
So at the moment, there's no intention that that will happen.
That would be a council policy decision.
Good, thank you. I'm pleased to hear that. We're obviously aware, as Councillor Johnson has just pointed out, that we are now in a period of public consultation, such as it is, which appears to be only being offered online. The BID have taken action to try to help or to try to encourage people to participate in any way they wish, whether they're in favour or against, in the public consultation. And therefore we have created a bit of a campaign. You will have in front of you a copy of our leaflet, which was printed today. These will go out in hopefully fairly large numbers throughout the town and the local villages. I've been trying to recruit people to do that, so if anybody's minded to help distribute those, please let me know. I also have fairly large numbers that you can take away if anybody wants to take them away and do just that right now. I think that's all I have really that won't wait until the part 2 discussion. The only other thing I was still a bit puzzled about is the heritage aspect of all this. I'm not sure that anybody's actually researched or found out what the attitude is to having physical meters in our conserved high street, whether that would be an issue for that might affect our status as a World Heritage Site and so on.
If the council is happy to let our county councillor give us an answer.
The heritage, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The conservation officer has no concerns about it, and neither does the county archaeologist. So they're not going to be the little lollipop ones everywhere. I think some people have thought that they might be that, but it's going to be similar to ones that would be in the off-street car parks. Because I asked that question.
Yeah, thanks. Is there any written reference that we can refer to on that? Is there any? Or is it just verbal?
No, I've read it somewhere. I'm very sorry I can't remember where it is because I read so much. But I'm sure that the conservation officer would be able to give the town council.
That's the Devon County.
It's Graham Lawrence has no
West
Devon has no concerns, and the county Bill Horner has no worries. So, and I represent Devon County Council on the World Heritage, so that was one of the first questions I asked.
Right. Thank you. I wonder if the council would be happier if we asked for some sort of written information from West Devon that is in fact the case. Just, I'm not doubting your.
No, it's about races. Do what you want.
Yeah, just so that we know that we've buttoned that one up, because I think we ought to be squeaky clean as we possibly can.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yes, we'll get our officers to ask the officers and get that from. Okay, thank you very much. Right, we'll do more on parking in part 2, but I think we can go on to service reports, please. General Manager's report. You should all have read that. Anything else that people want to say? Do you want to say anything more, General Manager?
I've only got one item, which to say I'm going to bring a report back to council next council meeting in relation to property maintenance budget, we're going to need to, if there's no strong objections, use an element of the capital budget for the Guildhall toilets, which is obviously unspent at this time, because there is a lot of committed property maintenance works, which was a roll-on from last year. So we're at the stage where our property maintenance budget is fully committed. At this stage, we've got 3 months left. Rather than trying to do environment from the ground maintenance budget, it's cleaner to do it from the Guildhall capital works, which obviously aren't being committed at this stage in relation to the toilets. And I'll bring a report back to council just to explain the process. But either way, that should be balanced out.
Thank you. Councillor Johnson.
Mr Mayor, operational update. Mr Southview say that the council should hear shortly whether the submitted grant to Historic England for the House of Abbey Group projects is successful. Do you have an update on that? Or do you think we might get an update on that?
The answer is no and no, but I will follow it up with THT.
I wasn't expecting that. So, any other comments for the General Manager? Councillor Hipsey.
Yes, indeed. I think I would like to just further thank the General Manager for his work on the works in town, which seem to be going very nicely so far to time and to budget. Market rates looking very good, pretty much as it was fixed. The town hall, the front of the town hall, in my opinion, is looking splendid. And I was pleased to hear various visitors during the Kensington evening and so on saying pretty much the same thing. It all seems to be going very nicely. And the prospect of having that scaffolding down before Christmas, I think is fantastic. So many thanks for that, Wayne. I think you've done a good job. And also, I believe the museum roof is doing very well too. Yeah, good. Excellent. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. 8.2 Pannier Market Report. Are there any questions or comments? 8.3 Works Department Report. Councillor Mrs Johnson.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. First of all, I'd like to thank the Works Manager for her assistance with the current preventative measures with pest control. There has been quite a lot of pest control issues in and around the town centre, and Becky's been really good at working with others to deal with that. I'd also like to say thank you as the chairman of the Friends of St Eustatius, who organised the trees of light, the Christmas trees. I'd like to thank the Works Department for their help with collecting the tables and delivering the tables, and generally helping with moving things around. And also, on behalf of the Dartmoor Search and Rescue Group Tavistock, we were able to use the cherry picker to clean the gutters out on the rescue centre, which was greatly appreciated, done in a really lovely attitude and much appreciated.
8.4.
Okay. Town Hall and Butchers Hall report. Any questions, observations? No? Okay, thank you very much. Right, report the assistance to the town clerk. Mrs Smollicum.
Thank you. Just to follow on from the comment already made, as you will see on my key dates for councillors' diaries, we have the 6th of February as the strategic plan meeting for the second part. Obviously, that evening will now be a council meeting. As soon as I have an alternative date for the strategic plan meeting, obviously I'll let you know. So if you could please just update your diaries to that effect. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Note to the Town Hall market. Sorry, Councillor Hipsey.
May I just make a point about the Citizens of the Town Clerk's report? Paragraph 4 appears to contain well, it seems to be a league table of who has been attending civic events and who hasn't. And I can see the point in why residents would be interested in when and where we but I don't really understand what this is supposed to achieve, especially in view of the fact that things like the Goose Fair lunch, I can't get to the Goose Fair, I can't work it. So, you know, I find myself effectively slipping down the list here, based on the fact that I'm actually a working person.
Councillor Mann.
Sorry, I'm not standing.
Sorry. I believe, Mayor, we actually had a discussion about
We
this
did.
as well, which was that we weren't going to report on civic events, which Councillor Ewings was the one that had proposed that as a motion within the attendance record. So is this just like a response or a separate...
I don't know, we'll ask, because my understanding was we certainly were not going to start reporting some of these. I don't know if it was that specific to that, or was it training?
No, it was agreed that the civic ball would be removed from the civic events list. That was the only one. The rest of them were to remain.
Councillor Munro, then Councillor Hipson.
I think this could be considered to be counterproductive if we're trying to recruit younger councillors, particularly those that are full-time employed.
Yeah. Councillor Hipsey.
That
Right, sorry.
point I was going to...
Councillor Mann.
Look, I'd like to propose that we just don't report on them at all, attendance-wise. I don't think they're relevant to whether or not a councillor's doing a good job.
Yep.
I think a councillor's job is to represent people in the meetings and to represent their position. So I think this is a really sort of, it's almost like a penalising statement of who's come to some parties, actually, really. But I don't think it's really appropriate to be listing that.
Okay, yes, thank you.
I'll just say, obviously, this item's for information only. I have to go back and look at the last minute and actually see what the discussion point was and the agreement was. If it was agreed that, barring the civic ball, that civic events would be recorded, then obviously we need to bring it back to council to actually discuss.
And if that was the case, we only do that once a year, so this is like December, there's still, like, is this because this is the end of the civic events you have to report on? Or are you just doing a mid-year review of this?
I was asked to bring it forward.
I think it needs to be checked, doesn't it? And I think if basically it is still being reported and it should be being reported, then I think we need to bring it to the next council to have an agenda item on whether we continue reporting it, and we can have a discussion on it and a vote. So can we make sure that's action for the next council meeting, if it needs to be, please?
Yes.
Okay. Right, Town Hall and Markets consultation. You've seen the reports, Councillor Hipsey.
Just a very small point of accuracy really in the minutes of the meeting of the 30th of December. Paragraph 4 quotes me quoting data on parking. It's a simple thing. We actually found out that 35% of vehicles stayed for less than 10 minutes and 65 stayed for less than 30 minutes. That's not the way it reads. I can quite happily provide a correct version.
Okay, thank you. Right, West Devon Council report. You've got a report from Councillor Bridgewater. Any comments or thoughts on that? I should just thank him for that. Okay, to receive any update from questions to council representatives serving on their outside bodies. Councillor Mann, please.
I'm just going to report back on the two DUC discussions that we had. I met with the largest councils committee for DUC on behalf of the town council, in which the parking issue was raised again, but across a group of councils. And more largely, and inclusive of like the bus situation, about the sort of interactions with Devon County, and there is a push within DUC from all of the councils to try and improve that relationship. And the new CEO of Devon County did come to the DUC meeting and say she was going to, and I believe Cara Stobart, who represents DUC, has had some take-up of that. And one of the results of that was the other event that I think some of you joined us for that event, which was John Hart's briefing from Devon County about the budget. And that is also something that DALC actually organises. So those events and those communications with Devon County are really important and a part that we can benefit from as from DALC. I did invite all councillors, I think, to consider coming to the AGM, because that's a really great event and a really good way to actually network and find out what's happening across the patch. And it's a really useful forum to meet and get that sort of cross-pollination of ideas. So I would still just reiterate that for another year, for next year. And the other thing that I would like to say is that I think the parking issue is obviously quite emotive, and in those DALC meetings, that's our one chance to have a voice as a town council directly with, in this case it was the leader of the council, and I don't believe that the behaviour of some of the councillors that were on that meeting from the town council was actually appropriate or respectful in a civil manner. So I would just like to say that in future, if you are going to join in, it isn't a forum in which that you should be just expressing your emotive reaction to policy. It should be a chance for you to actually try and have that conversation, that hard conversation with someone about, hey, why are you doing this? Why aren't you listening to us? Can we actually work together? But if you're asking those questions, you can't be on the side commenting and trying to sort of denigrate their decisions and discussion right in that same environment. So I just, I want to welcome everyone to DALC, because I think it's a really useful forum for us, and I think it's going to be even more useful when we're looking at devolution, because we're going to lose some access when it becomes that way. But I think we need to be smart about it and not parochial, and to be representing our best selves and our best hopes for our community, rather than trying to score points. So I did speak at that meeting. We did get heard. Points were taken at the meeting about the parking issue. Officers were present as well and listening and making notes. And I'm hopeful that there was some take-up of the message, because we did reiterate it, and many people reiterated it very well. So I'm not saying that that was the whole feeling, but I was a little disappointed to feel that we took that opportunity to make it very personal, which I didn't think was useful.
But the other thing about the meeting, which was very good, is it wasn't just Tavistock councillors saying there's obviously a communication issue. There were councillors from other areas. The same message was being pushed through everywhere, that there was a problem with communication, which I hope Devon Council are beginning to realise. Good. Anybody else? Councillor Johnson.
Thank you. I'd like to give a report back about Kingdom House, the Brick Works. One of our long-term tenants, the scrap store, has moved out. It's at Grosvenor premises. It's been successful at Kingdom House, and it's now moving up to, I think, Havens Row. So we'll be looking for new tenants on that ground floor area that they had. And I understand the art group, which have been doing lots of art groups there, will be moving over to Bedford Chambers, which is obviously the Guildhall, that building that's being done up. They've obviously successfully provided courses from Kingdom House. So there's going to be quite a lot of space available for groups within the town. If they're looking for a space, please come and see us at Kingdom House, because we'd like to see you and give you the opportunity to grow there as those other groups have.
Thank you. Good. Councillor Sellis is there, County Councillor Ellis. She hasn't done a report, but is there anything you'd like to tell us? Or?
Yeah. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, I've been under par, so I apologise for not giving a report. Relating to the meeting with the leader of County Council, John Hart, Councillor Johnson said something that concerned me gravely, insofar as she felt that communication with Devon County Council, which had been in council for 20 years, had never been so bad. Now, I give information to the borough, to Gilworthy Parish Council, and I give information to Tavistock Town Council. Gilworthy's happy with it, so what I need to establish is I'm sending you information which is sent from Devon County to Information Tavistock, or to the deputy clerk, and I don't send it to you all individually. And I'm very concerned, and I've spoken with councillors who say actually we get lots of information from the deputy clerk, and it's quite, it's just all quite difficult to establish what's the best thing to read or whatever, and that's between you lot. But what I am concerned about is I do keep you and who, like me, represent the public, and it's for the public that I'm doing this. And I'm very concerned if all the information that I'm sending is either A, not read, or I'm not sending it in the appropriate way. Because, you know, what's the point of A, people sending me information to send it to you, and then saying, oh, the communication's absolutely lousy. I've worked round the clock for years on behalf of the residents, and I was very dismayed to hear that.
Well, let's listen to Councillor Johnson. And
Thank you. Councillor Hart was talking about Team Devon, saying how proud he was of Team Devon, and I just reflected on the 20 years that I've been here. When I first was elected a councillor, we would regularly get officers from Devon County Council come here and talk to us face to face. That doesn't happen now. In the summer, I wrote to our highways officer and got completely told off that I shouldn't be emailing him direct, and yet I understand he's been to Horribridge Parish Council and met with them. So I would like us to invite Bradley, I don't know what his other name is, to come here to Tavistock to meet with us. I think I was exasperated by, you know, it took 15 months to get the potholes down at Drake Statue mended. We used to have an opportunity to meet with people from Devon County at the Southern Links meetings. Those don't happen any longer. I just think that, you know, the communication on that kind of level doesn't happen. I read all the stuff that the assistant to the town clerk sends through. I can absolutely assure you of that. But I just think that personal communication from officers that used to happen doesn't happen now.
I think you've taken this possibly as though it was an attack on you, and it wasn't. Obviously, it was an attack on. It was an attack on the.
No, I'm not taking it personally. I wouldn't do this job if I took it personally, because I'd need the skin of a rhino. What concerns me is if I'm, as the link, getting it wrong. And I did listen to what you're saying. I've asked I listened to what Councillor Hart's saying. Said that highways officers in his patch are prepared to meet with councillors in their working hours. So I've asked the highways officer if he would be prepared, and he said yes he would if there was an agenda with specific issues that he would be prepared and he'd have the answers for you. So, you know, I thank you for that, because what's the point? We're all doing this for the public, aren't we? We're not doing it for ourselves. So, you know, so thanks, Councillor Johnson, for that. Hopefully we'll get something. Yes, finally, I'm giving up saying to you when work's going to be done, because there were going to be loads of work done on the potholes, yada. And then there was a major incident further up the road, and it took all the resources. Now that we've got another 6.25 million, we're seeing some bits and bobs done, and not before time, because I am a strong voice up there. Fair dues to Councillor Hart, he did say that I have been representing you and the public, because whilst I'm on watch, that's what I'm going to do. It won't be forever.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Has anybody got any questions, though, Mr. Mayor? Is there anything in particular?
Councillor Johnson.
You told me, Councillor Sellers, that the white line was going to happen in January. I understand that the Highways Department have white lined their car parking spaces in their depot. So can you assure me that the white lining in Tavistock, all those mini roundabouts, all those yellow box junctions will happen in January, please?
I've been told that they're going to be done, but it's a damn sight easier putting 3 lines on an off-road car parking area in rather than a very busy highway.
Thank you. General Manager.
So,
Just 1 second, that's the General Manager coming.
I was just going to make the point, to be honest. We talked about communications quite a lot already in this meeting. There are protocols of meetings, there is agendas. We should follow the agendas correctly. We should follow protocols correctly with how we address each agenda item. We're not doing that at the moment, so we need to get back to script.
Right, Councillor Mann, would you like to say something?
Just for the questions, I know that we have the Plymouth Road work, that's the gas works that's coming up, that...
I think if she's here, the county councillor, she should speak.
Is that, and that's going to affect all of those, so I just wondered if you had any news on whether or not that's definitely going forward. It's 3 months, isn't it?
Oh, is that you asking me?
Yeah.
Have I permission to speak, Mr. Bell?
I'm told you haven't, but I mean, doesn't... I think the council... I think the...
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Just as a general thing, the General Manager thinks we should always stick to the agenda, which means that we end up with situations where we've got somebody who can give the council information, potentially, and we're potentially saying no. Does that seem... I mean...
Did we have a Devon County Council report submitted? The answer is no. Could you have had discussions if a Devon County Council report was submitted? Potentially. We didn't receive one.
Just for future, what do people think?
Mr Mayor, can I just answer regarding the roadworks on Plymouth Road? The provider of the pipework is sending letters around to every house that's going to be in the affected area, which is quite a large area, and it explains that they're starting on the 3rd of January, and they hope to finish sometime in March. But this depends on what they find once they start digging it up.
Thank you.
That's what it was. And they also say they are going to have people, their teams go round and knock on doors of affected areas and keep local residents and also businesses in the area up to date with what is going on. But it will be a major bit of work.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Munro?
In a previous council, the councillors of Devon were given an opportunity to talk if they hadn't submitted a report in public participation session only.
Right.
Thank you.
Councillor Hipsey?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. In answer to your question and General Manager's comments, it was my intention this evening to invite a young man along who is taking interest in being a councillor. And I think we should be encouraging new councillors. We have two vacancies, and I think particularly my opinion would be to encourage younger people. So this young man was going to sit there and listen to proceedings today. I dread to think what he would think of what's going on. He might be excited. I said, be prepared to be a little bit bored because it can be a bit confusing. The arcane ritual is puzzling and baffling at times. But I think I do agree with the General Manager that we do need to keep to some sort of script. But I think we've got to be careful. I've sat here and tolerated muttering from the back throughout this meeting, and that I find quite disrespectful and annoying. So that's just my feelings. I will, unfortunately, this young man couldn't make it for work reasons, but he will come along again. I hope he will be impressed with the way we do business, and he will join us because I think we need people like that. But we've got to behave in some sort of useful and intelligent, respectful way.
Thank you. Councillor Mann?
I think you might remember that at a previous meeting I suggested that we should have a standing item, which was for the Devon County Councillor, because she doesn't always get her report here in time, and it was for this reason. Because I think that when we do have our Devon County Councillor present, we should be able to take advantage of the knowledge that they might have. So I would like to forward again that request that we consider at some point on some agenda somewhere the idea that our Devon County Councillor should have a standing place on our agenda just for that purpose. Because I think one of the things we've been talking about is communication, And in order to improve that communication, there has to be a vehicle for that to be improved. And saying that the vehicle has to be that you remember a week ago that you want to talk to somebody tomorrow is not, it doesn't work. So let's set it up so that we can take advantage and have, when we do have someone present who we do have questions for, we have a place on the agenda to do that. Our Devon County Councillor will become more and more important as devolution happens, because they are going to be the main person that will have actual funding ability for many of the things that will be coming down to West Devon Borough Council. They are going to be, whoever that will be, and it shouldn't be about who it is. It's not about how they behave. It is about the fact that as a town council, parish council, we would want to have an open conversation with Devon County Council. So I really would say, again, and it never got minuted, as some things seem to fall off the minutes, that we should have a standing item for the Devon County Council to speak at each meeting. If they don't turn up, we can skip it.
Well, let's bring it forward to the next council meeting as an agenda item to discuss. Yes? Can we make a note of that?
Noted.
Okay. That's good. Well, I think it's important. Thank you. I think I like to know what people got information. Let's hear that information. Let's learn. Right, no communications from me from you, no urgent matters. So on to part 2. Should we just turn this off?